everyone, it's me, Buster Green, and last night I saw My Hero Academia You're Next, which I enjoyed the crap out of. Now, this is the fourth in the long-running My Hero Academia movie series. I'm a little bit mixed on this one. It's not the greatest. I would even argue that it's the most simplest movie they've ever made. But on the flip side, it's definitely better than some of the previous ones. Like, the second one was so convoluted and impossible. And it's a very straightforward story. Of the My Hero Academia movies, I think the first one is must-see watching, but I kind of hate the second movie because it has insane non-canon shit that I can't accept. Now, I super like the third movie. I reviewed the third movie 2 years ago. I would say the third movie was very, very dense and had a very crazy and convoluted story going on. Now, by contrast, this movie is super light and has a really easy story with just one big problem that they're all focusing on. So let me start off this video by talking about All Might. I think All Might has always been the biggest question mark in My Hero Academia lore, because we always hear people in the show hyping him up, talking about how great he was. We see Deku's room filled with merch, but the thing is, aside from like the one fight he had with All for One, where he wasn't able to reach his full power, I kind of never feel like we've fully satisfyingly seen like the real full power of All Might. And the first My Hero Academia tried to address this a little, and that was cool because that was the only movie, the only time in the entire franchise that they even elaborated a tiny little bit about All Might's backstory, giving you some slivers of information that he trained in America, and that's why half his moves are named after US states. Now, this movie has probably one of the coolest, most hardcore premises for a My Hero Academia movie ever. Suddenly out of nowhere one day, there's a student named Dark Might, and he is just All Might at his full strength, but evil, and the heroes are going to have to fight him to the death. So yeah, that core premise is so fucking amazing. Could the heroes defeat a full-powered All Might? I'm completely about that. It's like the old Goku versus Superman argument. But even when people have those arguments, it's usually agreed that while Goku would want to fight Superman, Superman would not want to fight Goku because Superman just doesn't like fighting that way. So yeah, in this case, Dark Might is pure evil, so of course you have to fight him to the death. And so the show is basically already established that if Deku fought All Might at his peak, Deku right now could not defeat All Might. Deku is not strong as All Might was at his full power, and Deku probably won't be there until he becomes a man and like ages like another 10 years. But up until now, the fight between Deku and All Might was never going to happen because that was impossible because All Might is old and retired and weak. So anyway, that brings us to Dark Might. Now, Dark Might is a really cool idea, but unfortunately, even though that is a really cool idea, the movie does not play up the idea as cool as the idea could be. All right, spoilers from here on out. Now I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty. First, let me talk about some of the characters in this movie. I want to give a special shout out to the tape guy. I actually completely forgot this guy existed in the lore of the show, but the movie gives tape guy so much screen time that I almost sort of respect him, and I'm not sure what's up with this. Someone just really had a crush on the tape guy. The tape guy is really shining throughout this movie, more than he's ever shined in the show. But that's kind of it. Otherwise, the movie doesn't really have a ton of great moments for the other characters. Like, they tease Uraraka doing something cool with Deku, but then Deku ends up ditching her and she doesn't do it. Snail Girl gets one good joke in. Creati's barely in the movie, which is kind of a wasted opportunity in my opinion, because some of the villains have a similar power to hers. There's a minor fan service moment where you see Froppy's family, and did she get a new hat for this movie? Yo, cool new hat, Froppy. And yeah, for a split second, you see Deku and Bakugo's mom hanging out. That's cool, I didn't know they knew each other. And then yeah, Bakugo has a few minutes of screen time where he's honestly pretty funny in this movie. Like, he has some of the best one-liners, and I was like, wow, Bakugo's funny this time. And yeah, that's basically it. Otherwise, none of the other characters are really in this movie. All Might has one majorly cool scene where he talks to Dark Might, and you know, they shit talk each other, and basically All Might is like, yo, fuck off, you're like stealing my gig. And then like, this leads to Dark Might taking on the name of Dark Might and not just being All Might 2 like he originally wanted to be. Otherwise, most of the film's screen time is just Deku on his own being cool. Most of it's the new villains for the film. There's one cool new movie original side character who is like a cyborg butler with a vendetta and a broken heart. And yeah, so the plot is extremely simple. Here's the plot now, spoilers ahead. The film has a really cool opening scene that establishes at the time of All Might's retirement, Dark Might saw his message to Deku that you're next. That was aired publicly, and Dark Might misinterpreted that as some weird direct message to become the new All Might. And so then after that, the movie just instantly goes hard into go mode. The heroes are all doing various rescue work in the devastated Japan, because Japan has been devastated by supervillains at this point in the anime. Deku runs into Cyborg Butler, and he can't tell if he's a good guy or a bad guy. And then Dark Might and his Italian mafia show up. Now, I kind of instantly lose respect for this movie when they start with the Italian mafia shit. I might as well explain that I thought this was just going to be about Dark Might being like an isolated supervillain, and it kind of should have been, and it kind of is. But it's actually about Dark Might being this like mafioso don of this Italian mafia family. So like to explain it better, Dark Might is actually like the leader of this Italian mafia of quirk users that are apparently big and dangerous and like a major thing in Italy, and they've just randomly decided to come to Japan today. And he looks like All Might, but big spoilers for the end of the movie, he actually isn't All Might. He's just a guy wearing like a Hollywood face prosthetic mask of All Might's face. He otherwise is just this weird Italian mobster who's an obsessed All Might fanboy, and has taken his obsession with the character the wrong way. Now, I do really like this in a lot of different ways, because on the one hand, it's All Might, but then he has these blatant Italian gangster qualities that come out throughout the movie that make him completely unique from All Might, so he is an original character. It also kind of ties into this recent and real trend I've seen online, where people who are like blatantly freedom-hating fascists will be like obsessed with like Star Wars or like another media property where like they would otherwise be the bad guys. Like the point is like they're like fascists who like admire like the idea of being an anti-fascist, and that's kind of Dark Might in a nutshell. Like the story is about Dark Might being a fanboy of All Might who has twisted All Might's legacy into just simplifying it down that All Might was strong and therefore he got powerful. And so Dark Might has also decided to become as strong as possible so he can try and take over the world. But again, All Might wasn't trying to take over the world, so that's why Dark Might is evil. And then he's backed up by his lame Italian mafia family gang. The only member of the gang who even matters at all is Lady D-Cups over here. She has a hypnosis mind control quirk, and I feel like the animators really like got into drawing her boobs. She definitely seems like she was designed by some horny pervert who just wanted to write fan fetish hypnosis dojins. But yeah, so anyway, Lady Big Boobs and Dark Might have kidnapped this girl with a power boosting quirk. And of course, Deku has to save her. Honestly, the whole movie is very similar to the plotline where Eri was kidnapped by the quirk Yakuza in like season 2 of My Hero Academia. It's just that story all over again, but with some basic twists and the new Dark Might character at the top of the tower. Also, very creepily, when Dark Might hypno-forces Power Boost Girl to use her Power Boost quirk, her body sort of decays and it looks kind of creepy and evil. Anyway, that's still the opening premise of the film. From here on out, it gets super simple. So Dark Might and his Italian mafia arrive in Japan to kidnap this girl. And I guess they use Dark Might's quirk to create this massive floating fortress, except the fortress is kind of hilariously a massive parody of Caesar's Casino in Las Vegas. Have you guys ever been to Caesar's Palace in Vegas? Like, what I mean by that is if you've never been to the Caesar Casino, the inside of it, even though it's a massive building in the middle of the desert, on the inside it has all these various rooms that are designed to like recreate the like Italian countryside. It has these numerous rooms that have fake skies, fake atmospheres, fake Roman frescoes. So Dark Might's fortress is set up exactly like that. He's literally attacking Japan with the Caesar's Casino, and that's kind of hilarious. Like, he's like going through these various Italian-styled rooms because he's Italian, Deku and everyone's fighting through them. It gives the film a little bit of a flair, and it's kind of cool that he's trying to colonize Japan with his stupid Italian shit. So yeah, anyway, the movie takes place entirely inside this Caesar's Casino fortress, and it's a pretty random and very specific choice, but I kind of loved it because I just kind of like the like atmosphere of a casino that way. Anyway, so yeah, the My Hero kids and like 50,000 civilians get sucked inside of Dark Might Caesar's palace, and then Dark Might is randomly trying to see if the Power Boost Girl's quirk will work on any of them. I'm not sure what the point of this was. I guess his plan was to have D-Cups hypnotize them all and turn them into his mafia slaves. but it never pans out. So honestly, that's just a massive waste of time to like pad out the middle of the movie. Otherwise, I bet this movie would be like 40 minutes long. Deku and Cyborg Butler learn to like each other while this is going on, and they end up becoming like partners for the movie. Cyborg Butler is kind of a cool character. He has a semi-useful quirk, but he never uses it until the end of the movie. He mostly just relies on his pure cyborg skills. And one of the other minor grunts in Dark Might's army also has a quirk neutralizing skill. So there's a section where Deku has no powers, and Cyborg Butler just backs him up for a while with like his guns and everything. Now, one thing I really enjoyed about this movie that I thought was clever as hell is about halfway through the movie when they establish that no one can get through Dark Might's invincible wall, Lemillion shows up and goes straight through the wall with his go through the wall quirk. Now, yeah, that was amazing because Lemillion's power set never really gets focused on. And in this one specific situation, it was very, very useful to get through Dark Might's setup because no one else could get through Dark Might's wall in the movie. And yeah, that was super clever for me. Although also then as I thought more about it, like technically if Mr. Aizawa was in this movie, he probably could have like defeated Dark Might by himself, but he's not and they don't explain where he is. Anyway, that's about as far as the plot goes. Otherwise, this movie is mad simple. Cyborg Butler eventually takes down D-Cups with his cyborg guns. Dark Might kills most of his own mafia himself because, you know, he's a bad guy and he has to like self-hurt himself. Eventually, the My Hero kids get up to Dark Might. Bakugo and Todoroki show up to back up Deku. Deku fights the shit out of Dark Might. Dark Might eventually turns into a big stupid monster that looks like an MP EVA unit. And then the movie's over, everyone dies, everyone wins, Cyborg Butler gets a happy ending. So yeah, this movie felt a lot faster and a lot later than any of the previous My Hero Academia films. I guess I like that it was so straightforward. I'm very mixed on the fact that Dark Might was ultimately just like this weird Italian mafioso guy. There were parts of it where I thought it worked, but I also kind of wish that Dark Might actually did more with his like All Might obsession because he kind of just sits there and waits for the heroes to show up and beat him up. Otherwise, like the whole like movie is just mostly them being lost in Caesar's Casino. So if you ever go to Caesar's Casino, you can pretend you're Deku now. Yay! The end.